The crisp October air nipped at young Liam's cheeks as he trudged deeper into the woods behind his farmhouse, the setting sun casting golden fingers across the forest floor. At just 5 years old, Liam had a fierce curiosity and a heart far bigger than his tiny frame suggested. While most children his age clung to their screens, Liam found comfort in the trees, the rustling leaves, and the quiet whispers of nature. That afternoon, as his mother slept off another grueling night shift at the hospital, he'd promised her, "I'll be home before sunset, I swear." She had smiled weakly, ruffling his hair, too tired to argue but trusting her little explorer. He wandered for nearly an hour, weaving through ferns and hopping over logs, lost in a world of fantasy where he was a brave adventurer on a noble quest. But then something pulled him from his imagination, a sound. Faint, fragile, a whimper. He stopped, the hairs on his neck rising. It wasn't the chirp of a bird or the rustle of a squirrel. It was pain, soft and desperate. He turned slowly toward the noise, his heartbeat quickening. "Hello?" he called out, barely above a whisper. The sound came again, a heartbreaking plea just beyond the trees. Branches scraped his arms as he pushed through a thicket and stumbled into a narrow clearing. There, tangled in rusted barbed wire, was a German shepherd, large, majestic, and broken. Her fur was caked in blood and mud, and one back leg was badly wounded, twisted unnaturally in the wire. Her body trembled with exhaustion, yet her eyes held no threat, only fear and something else, hope. Liam's breath caught in his throat. She tried to stand, her belly low to the ground and round with unborn puppies. "Oh no," Liam gasped, his voice small and full of awe. "You're gonna be a mom." He knelt beside her, heart thundering. "I'll help you. I won't leave you." His tiny fingers reached for the wire, trembling but determined. And in that moment, as she leaned her massive head toward him and gently licked the back of his hand, something passed between them. An unspoken promise born not of words, but of something far deeper, trust. With the sun dipping lower behind the treetops, Liam knew he had little time before his mother would wake and wonder where he was. But looking at the injured dog lying before him, massive, trembling, and pregnant, he made a decision far too big for his age. He couldn't leave her. Not like this. Not alone. Her breathing was shallow, her body rigid with pain. But when he placed his small hand on her head and whispered, "It's okay, I'll take care of you," she didn't flinch. Instead, she closed her eyes for a moment, as if drawing strength from that tiny promise. Liam rose to his feet, wiped his bleeding fingers on his shirt, and whispered, "Come with me." She didn't resist as he gently tugged on the torn leather collar around her neck. Slowly, limping and groaning softly, she followed. The journey back to his backyard felt like miles. Liam stopped often to let her rest, offering what little he had, a sip from his juice box, a corner of his peanut butter sandwich. "My mom says you gotta stay hydrated," he mumbled, cupping his hands with water from a nearby stream. The dog drank carefully, never snapping, her eyes fixed on the boy with quiet trust. By the time they reached the edge of the woods, the sky had darkened into a rich, dusky blue. Liam glanced back toward the house, its windows glowing softly. He couldn't risk being caught. Not yet. Not until he made her a safe place. He led her across the yard to the old shed at the back of the property, long forgotten and dusty, filled with cobwebs and rusted tools. "This will be your house," he whispered, forcing open the creaky door. The dog limped inside and collapsed gratefully onto the floor. Liam worked quickly and quietly, moving like a child with a secret too big to share. He snuck into the house, gathering supplies, an old blanket, a bowl of water, leftover chicken, and even his mother's first aid kit. When he returned, the dog's ears perked at the sound of his voice. "I brought you presents," he said proudly. He laid out the blanket like a proper bed, set the food and water nearby, and knelt beside her, his eyes full of warmth and wonder. "You're not just a dog," he whispered. "You're someone's hero, and now you're mine." The shed was quiet, the air thick with the scent of old wood and rusted metal. Liam sat cross-legged on the dusty floor, watching the German shepherd sleep. Her breathing had steadied, and though she still winced now and then from her injured leg, she looked more at peace than she had in the woods. The small space had become their secret world, one built on trust, care, and something deeper that even Liam, at 5 years old, couldn't fully understand. As he reached out to adjust the blanket beneath her, his fingers brushed the collar around her neck. It was thick, made of heavy-duty leather, not like the soft, colorful ones he'd seen on pet dogs. Curious, he examined it more closely. A metal plate was attached, but the writing had been deliberately scratched out, deep gouges obscuring whatever name or numbers had once been there. Liam's forehead creased in confusion. Why would someone want to hide who you are? He whispered aloud. He turned the collar over and paused. There, tucked under a flap of leather, was something hard. He dug his small fingers beneath the seam and carefully pulled out a tiny chip, flat, metallic, and marked with strange letters and numbers. SK9M457G. He stared at it, the code meaningless to him, but it felt important. His heart beat faster, not in fear, but in that deep, intuitive way children sense when they've stumbled upon something they're not supposed to see. "Is this your secret?" he asked, holding it up to the dim light filtering through the shed's grimy window. The dog, his dog now, at least in his heart, opened one eye and looked at him. Not just a glance, but a gaze, steady, knowing. Liam swallowed hard. "You're not just somebody's pet," he murmured. "You're something else." He raced inside the house, snuck into his mom's bedroom, and pulled out her old phone. It took a few tries, but when he typed in his birthday as the password, the screen lit up. Carefully, he searched the code online. Results began to load, military jargon, articles about working dogs, and a headline that made his breath catch. SK9, the silent heroes of combat. His eyes widened. She wasn't just a dog, she was a soldier. The next afternoon, the sky had darkened with an early autumn storm threatening to break. Liam was in the kitchen, sneaking pieces of leftover meatloaf into a napkin when the unmistakable sound of tires crunching gravel froze him in place. He peeked through the curtain, his breath hitching as a sleek black SUV pulled into the driveway, its windows tinted so dark he couldn't see a thing inside. His mother wasn't due back for hours. A tall man stepped out. He wore a long, dark coat despite the mild weather. His movements were deliberate, controlled. He walked up to the front porch and knocked firmly, like someone with authority, someone who expected to be obeyed. Liam's heart pounded in his chest. Something about the man felt wrong, cold, calculating. "Hello there, young man," the stranger called when he spotted Liam watching through the window. Liam opened the door just a crack, enough to look but not enough to be grabbed. "Is your mother home?" the man asked with a smile that never reached his eyes. "She's on the phone," Liam lied quickly, remembering his mother's strict rule, never talk to strangers. "With the police." That seemed to give the man pause. His smile faltered just for a second. "I see," he said smoothly. "Well, I won't keep you long. My name is Mr. Grant. I'm looking for a dog that's gone missing, a German Shepherd. Have you seen one?" Liam's mouth went dry. His mind raced with images of Sasha resting in the shed, her legs still wrapped in his clumsy bandage, her belly round with unborn puppies. "No," he said firmly. "Just Mrs. Wilson's old poodle next door." Mr. Grant stared at him for a moment, eyes narrowing ever so slightly. "If you do see it," he said, slipping a business card into Liam's hand, "call this number right away. It's not safe. The dog is dangerous, sick, needs medication." Liam nodded, though every instinct screamed that this man wasn't trying to help. He watched from behind the curtain as Mr. Grant walked slowly back to his SUV, pausing just long enough to let his gaze linger on the backyard, the exact direction of the shed. And in that moment, Liam knew with chilling certainty, they were being hunted. Night fell fast that evening, shadows swallowing the yard as rain began to drum steadily against the roof. Liam sat in the shed, flashlight in one hand, the other resting gently on Sasha's head. She was restless, ears twitching, body tense, eyes flicking toward the door with every gust of wind. He could feel it too, an unease crawling beneath his skin. Something was coming. A sudden noise outside made both of them freeze. A twig snapped, then the distinct sound of footsteps, light but deliberate. Liam's breath caught. Sasha let out a low growl, deep and rumbling, not directed at him, but at whatever was beyond the thin wooden walls. He killed the flashlight and crept toward the grimy window. A beam of light swept across the yard. Then another. He ducked low, heart hammering. The door handle rattled. Liam snatched his father's old baseball bat from the corner, his small hands barely able to grip it. The door creaked open, slowly. A blinding flashlight beam pierced the darkness. "Who's there?" A woman's voice called out, sharp but not cruel. Sasha growled again, rising onto shaky legs, but as the woman stepped into view, her voice softened. "Easy, girl. It's me, Alex." At that name, Sasha stilled. Her growl melted into a soft whine of recognition. She limped forward, sniffing the woman's hand, then gently nudged her side. Liam's eyes widened as the woman knelt beside the dog, brushing a hand over her matted fur with familiarity. "You know her?" Liam asked, clutching the bat tighter. "I served with her," the woman replied, looking up at him. Rain dripped from her short hair, her military jacket soaked through. "My name is Alex. I was the medic in Sasha's K9 unit. She was paired with Captain Rivera. I've been looking for her ever since she went missing." Liam's throat tightened. Why is she being hunted? Why are people saying she's dangerous? Alex's jaw clenched. Because she's carrying something powerful. Proof. Evidence that could destroy the men who killed her handler and betrayed their country. And now that you've helped her, you're in this too. The door closed behind them, sealing the storm outside. And in that fragile silence, a new alliance was born between a soldier, a child, and a wounded war dog who refused to be forgotten. Rain fell in heavy sheets, turning the yard into a swamp of mud and shadows. Inside the shed, Alex moved with military precision, loading her pistol and stuffing emergency supplies into her weathered backpack. Sasha stood beside her, panting, still favoring her injured leg, but alert, her eyes scanning the darkness as if reading it like a map. Liam crouched near the door, clutching his backpack with trembling hands. Inside it, tucked between a juice box and his flashlight, was the memory card, small, silent, but explosive in the wrong hands. "They're coming," Alex said, her voice low but urgent. "Black's SUV is back. 2 men this time. We don't have much time." Liam's breath hitched. He looked at Sasha, then to the woman beside him. "She can't run fast," he whispered. "She's hurt, and she's going to have puppies." Alex didn't hesitate. "She'll manage. Military dogs are trained to push past pain, but we'll protect her. That's what soldiers and heroes do." Lightning flashed, casting skeletal shadows across the shed walls. Thunder cracked a beat later, covering the creak of the shed door as Alex eased it open just enough to peer out. The 2 men were crossing the yard, flashlights slicing through the rain. One beam landed directly on the shed for a split second. "This is it," Alex said sharply. "Stay low, stay close. If I tell you to run, run. No questions. Understand?" Liam nodded, his heart thudding so loud he thought it might give them away. Then they slipped into the night. They hugged the wall of the shed, darting across the slick grass under cover of thunder. Alex led the way, Liam in the middle, Sasha limping behind but determined. Shouts rang out, "There they are!" followed by flashlight beams chasing through the trees. Alex turned, fired a warning shot, and yelled, "Run!" They bolted into the woods, branches whipping at their faces, feet sinking into soaked earth. Sasha pressed on, driven by instinct. Liam's lungs burned, but he didn't slow. They reached the hidden clearing, the one where Liam had first found her. He dropped to his knees, pushed aside the brambles, and crawled into the narrow tunnel with Sasha at his side. Behind them, the shouts grew distant, but the danger hadn't passed. They were safe. For now. But only barely. Inside the hidden forest clearing, lit only by flickers of lightning slicing across the sky, time seemed to pause. Sasha lay curled protectively around her newborn puppies. 3 tiny, squirming bundles nestled against her warm body. Her breathing was labored, her fur soaked and stained, but her eyes remained wide open, watching the tunnel entrance with feral intensity. Liam sat close, cradling the smallest puppy in his shirt, his heart pounding with both awe and fear. Alex stood near the tunnel's edge, her gun drawn, scanning the woods beyond. Then came the sound they all dreaded, the distinct rustle of movement, deliberate and too close. A voice followed, calm and cold. Well, what do we have here?" The beam of a flashlight pierced the underbrush. Mr. Black emerged, rain slicking his coat, a pistol steady in his hand. Behind him, a second man carried a rifle. Alex stepped forward, body tense, weapon raised. "Put it down," Mr. Black ordered, his gaze cutting straight through the clearing to the puppies at Sasha's side. "All we want is the memory card. Hand it over, and maybe no one else gets hurt." "You're lying," Alex snapped. "You'd kill them all anyway, just like Rivera." Black's expression tightened, confirming the truth without words. Liam trembled, clutching the memory card in his pocket. Sasha rose slowly, every muscle trembling, but her gaze never wavered from Black. She stepped forward, injured, exhausted, and soaked, but with the quiet fury only a mother protecting her young could possess. Black's pistol shifted, aiming at her. "No! No!" Liam cried, stepping in front of Sasha. But before anyone could react, Sasha lunged. With the last reserves of her strength, she launched herself at Black, jaws clamping down on his arm just as he fired. The bullet hit dirt, missing them by inches. The force of her impact sent him crashing backward, his gun spinning into the mud. Alex didn't hesitate. She charged the second man, wresting the rifle from his hands and sending them both tumbling into the trees. "Run!" she shouted. Liam grabbed the puppies, heart pounding, Sasha's growl echoing in his ears. And as he sprinted through the rain with life in his arms, he understood one thing with perfect clarity. Sasha hadn't just saved him. She had chosen him. 3 months had passed since the stormy night that changed everything. Spring had returned, dressing the countryside in soft greens and golden sunlight. The air was warmer now, filled with birdsong and the scent of blooming lilacs. But inside the modest home where Liam lived with his mother, the anticipation hung heavy. He waited on the porch, feet swinging over the steps, a small bundle cradled in his arms, a growing puppy with alert eyes and a heart as fearless as her mother's. He had named her Hope. The sound of an approaching engine pulled him from his thoughts. A military jeep rolled down the driveway, kicking up dust. From the passenger side, a familiar figure stepped out. Alex, now dressed in full uniform, her posture strong, but her smile soft when she spotted Liam. Then, from the back of the vehicle, came the moment he had been dreaming of. Sasha. She leapt down gracefully, her coat gleaming, eyes sharp and bright despite all she had endured. Behind her, 2 young German shepherds, nearly full-grown, padded close, her sons. But it was Sasha who ran to Liam first, her tail wagging, her body vibrating with recognition. Liam dropped to his knees, arms wide open. "I knew you'd come back," he whispered as she pressed her head against his chest. Rachel stood at the doorway, hand over her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. She had seen her son transform, braver, stronger, wiser. Now she saw the dog who had helped shape that change, and for a long moment, woman and mother looked at each other, acknowledging the bond between boy and beast. Alex stepped forward, her voice low. 12 arrests. The memory card Liam protected led to an entire weapons trafficking ring being dismantled. Your son helped save lives. Rachel nodded, emotion brimming. He hasn't been the same since, but in the best way. As Sasha and her pups played in the yard, Hope bouncing happily at Liam's heels, the boy turned to Alex. Will she stay? Alex knelt beside him. Not forever. She still has work to do, but she'll always come back. Liam smiled, wrapping his arms around Hope. Because now he knew, real heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they walk on 4 legs, carry secrets in silence, and come home not just to be remembered, but to remind us what love, loyalty, and courage truly look like. At its heart, this story is not just about a child and a dog. It's about trust, loyalty, and the powerful bond that can form between 2 souls, no matter how different they seem. A 5-year-old boy, armed with nothing but innocence and compassion, risked everything to protect a wounded animal. In return, that animal, a trained military dog, burdened with pain, secrets, and responsibility, chose to stand between him and danger without hesitation. It reminds us that love doesn't always speak a language we understand. Sometimes it comes in the form of a growl meant to protect, or a gentle nudge that says, "I trust you." Liam didn't need to know Sasha's full story to believe in her. He simply saw her pain and acted with kindness. And through that kindness, he uncovered a truth far bigger than himself, one that led to justice, healing, and new beginnings. This story teaches us that animals, like people, carry histories. They feel fear, loss, joy, and love. They are not just pets or tools. They are companions, protectors, and sometimes silent heroes. It also reminds us that the smallest among us, the youngest, the quietest, can be the bravest when guided by empathy. So let this story be a call to action. If a 5-year-old boy can risk everything to save one dog, then surely we can do more to protect the animals around us. Show them kindness, give them respect, listen with your heart. Because sometimes the most extraordinary friendships begin with a simple act of compassion. Love them, defend them, and never underestimate the impact of a bond built on trust. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next powerful episodes we have coming. Each one will take you deeper into unforgettable journeys of courage, compassion, and the unbreakable bonds between humans and animals. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. What moved you most? What did you learn? Leave a comment below and share your personal reflections or suggestions. Your voice helps us grow and tells us what stories matter most to you. Together, let's build a community that stands for kindness, respect, and love for all living beings.